for the cheering. Whenever I start working with a new client, the first thing I ask them is, what is their product, right? What do you sell? And usually the answer is something like, well, we sell a SaaS product, we do shoes, or we sell insurance. However, most marketers are wrong. And this is a terrible answer to this kind of question, because as we've learned today, every decision that we make has an emotional reason to it. You see, when we buy products, we buy better versions of ourselves. Basically, we always want to feel something better about ourselves, whether it's to feel loved or part of a community. Everything we do has an emotional reason to it. And when someone tells you that they sell insurance, I actually say, well, you sell peace of mind, right? And if you're selling shoes, then what you're actually selling is maybe self-esteem. So it is up to us as marketers to understand why customers buy our products. What is the emotional reason behind these purchases? And this is why, over the past 6 years, I've been running thousands of tests using emotional targeting and consumer psychology. I'm always trying to understand what are the emotional triggers of my customers. Why do people actually want to buy from me? And translate that knowledge into a better landing page, into a better funnel, and of course, higher revenues. So today, what I would like to do is take everything that we've spoken about today from all the speakers and turn it into actionable data, actually build you a framework that you can follow. But before I do that, I'd like to talk to you about my personal experience. When Pep invited me to speak at this event, I was extremely excited because it turns out that Austin, Texas is the skydiving capital of the world. I didn't know this at all. But as a person with over 700 jumps, I thought, OK, I need to find the first plane I can jump out of the second I get there, right? So I went to my mobile phone, and I Googled whatever, skydiving in Austin, Texas, and this is what I got, which was extremely depressing, right? Just absolutely sucks, just as much as Batman versus Superman did for me. Sorry. So I had to go to my computer and check, and this is what I got. So it's a bit better, right? I mean, I can actually see a call to action. It says life in the fast lane. Makes sense. But you see, this is the problem with responsive design. It kills conversions. You see, we're constantly thinking about desktop whenever someone hears the word landing page. The problem is that this isn't our landing page anymore. This is. And there is nothing in this landing page that addresses anything to do with my emotional triggers, anything to do with why I actually am on this site. And because marketers are constantly thinking about desktop and desktop first, there's a 270% gap between mobile conversions and desktop conversions. That's insane, right? Because we spend 60% of our online time on our phone, and we check our phones 150 times a day. But the thing is that the reason this happens is because marketers have no idea how to deal with mobile. See, we've all heard the regular stuff: have one call to action, create a dedicated landing page, have a good image, and reduce load time, or something. But that's just general comments about a landing page in general, right? You see, the reason mobile conversions suck is because when we're on our mobile phones, we are completely different people. Okay? We are on the go, we're multitasking, we're on the train, we're at home, we're watching TV and using the phone at the same time. Our behavior is different and our emotional state is different too, which means that we have to start addressing and understanding the specific mobile visitor. What do they want and what do they need, and create a better experience for them. So how do you actually do that? Well, there are no easy solutions, but as I said, what I would like to do today over the next 24 minutes and 41 seconds is give you a framework to doing that, coming up with meaningful testing ideas and hypotheses and starting to get to know your customers on a more emotional level, understanding who they are and translating that knowledge into better landing pages and better funnels. So let's get started. Okay, so it's a 4-step process. Now, this is a process that takes us quite a long time to actually do, maybe sometimes between 30 to 60 days to gather all this knowledge, but I'm going to try and pack it. So the first step is emotional competitor analysis. The second is emotional SWOT, emotional content strategy, and of course, testing. Each one of these steps is imperative for you to go through and understand. And it is completely different than things you have done before. Now, for the purpose of this session, I have chosen the online dating industry to kind of test it through. So we're going to choose a few online dating sites and go with them throughout the entire process and see how we end up with an actual case study and how we go through the entire process and get some results. Ultimately, my main goal for you guys is to be able to go back to your office on Monday and start thinking about testing ideas and how to come up with some cool ideas to test and actually get results from your tests and understand them, why they actually worked. So let's start with emotional competitor analysis. So emotional competitor analysis is different than the regular competitor analysis that you run. We're not going to be looking at your features or your product or your pricing. We're trying to look at 2 elements. One, we want to understand where the market is emotionally. And the second thing we want to understand is where we fit in. So in order to do a real emotional competitor analysis, you're going to have to choose between 10 to 15 of your top competitors. Now here's the thing, a competitor doesn't have to be a direct competitor. It could also be someone who is an indirect competitor but is still targeting your target audience. So you want to choose 10 to 15 of them, and we're going to be grading them according to 4 parameters. The first is their message. What message are they using on their landing page? What is the landing page about? Next, the colors. Colors have a huge emotional effect on us, and we want to understand where the industry is in terms of that. Then, obviously, we want to start talking about the image. What image are our landing pages using, the competitors using, so we can kind of compare ourselves to that and also understand what is the first thing people see when they land on the landing page. And the last thing is the emotional triggers. What are our competitors trying to make their customers feel when they land on their landing page? So for example, Zoosk, very well known, says, let the #1 dating app set you up. Their message is completely about themselves, right? It's about the company. But you see what they do is they also use brown. And brown is normally associated with stability and trust and kind of security. So the other thing that they do is they also use an image of a girl in the background, a single person using their phone. All this together leads to trust. You can trust us because we are a very well-known company and we have you, basically. But then you have, on the other hand, match. Match is about see photos of people who are near you, right? This is all about close and being in a proximity. There are people just around you, just around the corner. Don't worry, we will find you someone. Then we're using blue for trust, which is very well known. But the image that they're using, as opposed to Zoosk with one person, is a variety of people. There are so many people out there. Don't worry, we will find you someone. So in my opinion, the emotional trigger, or one of the emotional triggers that they use, is hope. Someone is right around the corner, and you're going to find them using Match.com. OkCupid, on the other hand, is completely the opposite of the other 2 competitors. Find your match with our powerful algorithms. We're smart. We're different. It's simple. And obviously, again, with the blue. So dating sites love to use the color blue, right? They're also using an image of variety, because every sock has a pair, unless you're using my washing machine, which you're doomed, basically. Never mind. Anyway, and they're using trust and hope, right? Because they're telling you, there's no hard work, don't worry about it, we've got you, just sit back and relax and we'll find someone for you. Now, I've only reviewed 3 competitors in this slide, in this session. However, as I was saying, you have to look at least 10 to 15 of your competitors. And we actually did this. We surveyed 20 different competitors. And what we found is that the 3 main emotional triggers that the dating industry uses is trust, hope, and simplicity. Now, the real question is, we understand, or we have an educated guess of where our competitors are emotionally. Now, should we be exactly like our competitors, or should we be different? You see, we don't want to blindly copy our competitors because they're probably blindly, basically doing what the other one's doing. However, we do want to test that and see what works better. So we understand that what our competitors are doing, let's find out what we should be doing. So this is where the emotional SWOT comes in. The emotional SWOT tells us what our customer thinks about us and how they feel about the industry. So, for example, if you're Apple, who is selling computers, the emotional SWOT would tell us how our customers feel about Apple, about us, and they'll also tell us how they feel about the computer industry in general. So I've chosen eHarmony because their landing page sucks, basically, and it's another dating site. It says, join free today. Great emotional trigger, great message. But they are very well known. So one of the biggest strengths that they have is probably trust. People know them and feel secure using them. However, if a quick look at their landing page tells you that they're just like everyone else, there's nothing to differentiate them from other competitors. When you take a look at the entire industry, one thing that's really good about the dating industry is that there's a huge variety of competitors, right? That someone is bound to find you someone. However, with this variety comes a lot of different threats. For example, it's a lot of hard work finding someone in an online dating site. And the problem is that everyone looks the same, right? All the competitors just look the same. Everyone's promising the same stuff. And there are quite a few people that think that online dating isn't for them. Okay, it's just not for them. They need something that's different, something that makes more sense for them because they are different and deserve something better. So in order to really start thinking about what message we want to use on our landing page, we need to start looking at our weaknesses and our threats. So our biggest weakness is that we're like everyone else, right? And the other threats that we have is that everyone else in the industry is the same. And as we said, it's very hard work, and most people don't really feel that online dating is for them. And so in our emotional content strategy, we want to think about the answers for that specific threat. So we want to say that we're not like everyone else, right? And we want to say that you are not like everyone else. You deserve something better. And the third thing that we want to say is that we will easily find someone special for you. And all these 3 kind of strategy sentences really kind of help us understand and answer these specific issues that we can see in the industry and to us. Now, there are 223 emotional triggers that we have been able to map out. However, most companies need to use a combination of these emotional triggers. It's never about one. And you can test them all together, okay? So after we did this research, we realized that the emotional triggers that we want to use, and this is how do we want to make our customers feel? This is the question. Well, we want to make our customers feel unique. We want them to feel that this is an exclusive product. We want them to feel that this is a smart product that's going to help them and reduce the amount of work they need to do to find someone. And we want them to think that it's simple, to feel that this is the answer for them. So what would be the next logical step? Testing. So when it comes to testing, I've always had one goal, and that's to gain knowledge. I want to learn as much as possible about my customers. and translate that into a better funnel, right? We said that before. So what I want to do now is give you a framework for brainstorming ideas. And the way it works is we start listing the emotions we want to use. Then we look at the elements we're going to use in order to induce these emotions. Then we're going to look at the words, the visual, and the colors that we can use. Now, by the time we've filled out this entire framework, we will actually be able to hand this over to the designer for a brief, and we will have completely different landing pages with different emotional triggers. We'll start by looking at our competitors' emotional triggers. So we've already said that they use hope, trust, and simplicity. So the next question we're going to ask ourselves is, what kind of elements could we use in order to enhance these specific emotions and make people feel this on the landing page itself? So we could use many people, like Match does, or we could use just couples. And we can also use social proof. The words that we could use are safe and secure, or join many successful couples who are already enjoying life and happy. In terms of visuals, we could use many profiles of people, or we could show couples having fun. Because when it comes to hope, people envision themselves happy and in love outside having fun with their couple, with their significant other. And then in terms of colors, we can use blue for trust, like most of the industry is using, and pink for hope. This is one thing that we can look at. OK, this is a test. This is a landing page. Now, we don't have to be exactly like our competitors. We can take this and use it as one brief. Next, we'll look at our emotional triggers, what we want to make people feel. And we want to make people feel unique and smart and simple and exclusive. The elements we could use are maybe testimonials or scientific data to show that we are smart and there's an algorithm behind the whole thing. We might want to show exclusive groups because this is an exclusive product that only special people can find a date on. The words we can use are about the customer. This is unique. This is about you. Find your potential. And it's simple and fun. The visuals we could use are success stories and authority symbols and well-known people who have maybe used this product. We could use power couples and celebrities. And the colors we could use are orange because orange symbolizes fun, and we have blue for trust, and we have green for fresh, something that's new and different. Now, as I said, by the time we've filled this entire thing out, we have two different hypotheses. Now, what you're supposed to get is two different landing pages. You might get similar objects on each landing page, but by the time you see the results of this test, you're going to be able to see what emotional triggers worked best. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that these are your only emotional triggers and that the ones the competitors are using are failing. It just means you need to continue testing and coming up with new strategies and new ideas and running polls and surveys and trying to understand your customers better. Now, one thing I keep talking about is color. So I just wanted to put this out here and show you that you can abuse color too. So there's positive and there's negative things when it comes to color. So as I said, color has an emotional effect on us, and we can use them, especially when we don't have a lot of real estate, when it comes to mobile, for example. So we want to use color to say things that we don't have the room for. So use them wisely. To summarize, I'm going to show you two different case studies, and I want to show you the outcome of this kind of process. As I said, it is kind of a quick run through the process, but you can definitely get started with this. So this is an online dating site that we worked with last year. And our goal was to increase registrations. Now, the thing about this funnel is that this is actually a quiz. So you come in, you answer 20 different questions about your personality, and only then do you get to the registration form. And only then do you actually get matched and told which type of people match your answers and you should date. So the emotional triggers that we wanted to use is we wanted to make people feel that this is a smart solution, that it's easy to use. We wanted to make people feel that it's exclusive, and we wanted to make people feel intrigued about the whole thing. And we created 3 different variations. So this is the first variation, and it's all about unlocking your personal potential. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that instead of saying start the test, it says get my test results. The idea is that we are sending people into a funnel looking forward to seeing their specific results. Another thing that we're using is celebrities. So each one is a representative of someone who's unique and different and gets treated maybe better than others, because that's how we perceive celebrities for some reason. And we wanted to use them on our landing page to see if that kind of triggers any higher conversion and any likability. The second variation was all about getting you to start the test as soon as possible. So test yourself. More of a kind of a dare you. Will you test yourself this way? And we also had some social proof on the button itself telling you the name of the actual test. And we had a variety of different people that you could meet at the bottom of the page. Now, these are all mobile landing pages. So I haven't shown you the desktop ones, but obviously when you're looking at desktop, there's a lot more room to put a variety of more people, to have more text, and to use more information. But in all 3 variations, we had the unlock your personal potential. Then we have variation 3, which sends you right in to the test. So no call to action button. It's immediately about how do you like to spend your evenings. We tell people how many questions are going to be, and we also use different colors to kind of emphasize the different fun that you can have. So how many people think the first variation won? You can just put up your hands if you don't. Okay, 1 person. 2. Okay. Second variation? More people. How about the third variation? You are all wrong. This was actually the winner. Everyone except for you. You were right. This was the winner. And here's the interesting thing, because it increased registrations by 16%, which makes sense because we have a registration form at the top of the funnel. You can see that we switched each time. But we also saw 32% more people who actually subscribed and became paying customers. And I want to show you another variation for this test, which is a continuous thing, because we never stop at one test. This is just the beginning to scratch the surface and start to get to know who our customers really are. So we used another test with Banana Splash, which is a personalization product. And what we did is we used it on the original landing page. You see, the idea here is that emotion comes best when it comes at the right time. And these splashes would come in for people who actually are returning visitors, people who have already been to the site and have been idle for about 5 seconds on the page. So we would have to wait to see what was going to happen, because this is, again, returning visitors. It's not in the same test. It's something different. But the fact that what we did here was interesting was that we got people to sign up. So we had people subscribe, which is interesting, because what we wanted to do is just use it for email marketing later and track them. But the other thing that we did is the thank you note said start the test. And more people actually started the test because they engaged with something. They've already committed. They've already put in their email. And now there's more likability of them actually starting the test because, OK, I've already put in my email. Why not? And we saw more people starting the test from the returning visitors than people who came for the first time. So this is kind of one case study. And I want to show you one case study that has nothing to do with online dating, because we're not all online dating here. So this is a case study for The Next Web, which is one of the largest online publishers in the world. It has millions of visitors who come on their mobile phone. And in order to actually subscribe to their newsletter, you would have to click on the menu up there and then scroll all the way to the bottom and sign up. That was the way they collected emails. So we did a really interesting research, and we looked at all the competitors, and we did an emotional SWOT. And one of the things that we realized is there were two things we wanted to do. The first thing is we wanted to direct our marketing abilities and our tests to iOS devices, because we saw a lot more people coming from iOS, and we thought, let's create a look and feel with our splash that looks like an iOS message device coming in. So it says, don't miss out, get the latest news. Now, something with this splash, what we did is that it didn't come up immediately for when you basically came into the site, but it appeared after you scrolled about 700 pixels. So that's about, I'd say, 3 thumb scrolls. We identified that this is when someone would be most engaged. This is when someone has already committed and scrolls and enjoys the content and is more likely to actually sign up. So this was the first variation that we created. And the second variation that we created had the editor-in-chief in it. So we wanted to get people to know the editor-in-chief himself and thought maybe a friendly face would do the trick. So we had the same text, don't miss out, get the latest news. Same thing, it comes in after you've been on the site and you've scrolled at least 700 pixels. And we saw a 35% increase in registrations for this variation, and a 42% increase in registrations for the iOS lookalike. Now, the interesting thing here is at the same time we were actually running tests for the desktop variation, and we had really cool pop-ups coming in for people who scrolled and for people who were coming in for the second and third and fourth time. But at one point, we were seeing more conversions on mobile than we were seeing on desktop itself. So, what I've been trying to give you today is really some basic tools to get started with getting to know your customers. Okay? This is nothing revolutionary that's not going to change your entire life, but it is going to give you a process of how you should do things. We've learned so many things today. We've heard so many psychologists and interesting information that we can use, but we need to find how to actually use it and kind of adapt it into our tests. So I hope that this helps you. The last thing is my favorite slide, which is reality sucks. And I need you guys to remember this all the time, because as marketers, we sell dreams. And it's our goal to understand what our customers' dreams are and give it to them on their landing page, and also deliver it in your product. But start with a landing page. Thank you.